How we doing, guys?
Good.
How we doing, guys?
Good, Coach. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Second one wasn't much better than the first one.
Start by talking about the challenge that Gurley poses for your defense and what makes him so difficult to contain.
Yeah, he's just a great football player. He has everything you want in a running back. He's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's strong. Got great instincts for the game, great feel for the game, outstanding vision. He can beat you with speed, he can beat you with power, he can beat you cutting back. He can beat you when they hand him the ball, he can beat you when they throw him the ball. He's great run after the catch. He plays with a competitive spirit. He's just a fantastic player.
Did you just describe Ezekiel Elliott as well?
In some ways, I probably did describe Ezekiel Elliott. You know, both big-time players who can really do everything you want them to do on the field and embrace carrying the burden for their team.
Jason, how's a guy like Antoine Woods rise up from total oblivion to where he is right now?
You know, one of the things that we try to do is look for players who can help our team any way we can find them. And that's a 365 days out of the year proposition, and they can come from anywhere. And we try to judge them based on what they do once they're here, not necessarily where they came from. And he's a great example of that. And the way he rose up was just coming to work every day and showing up. And just all throughout training camp, just made play after play after play, day after day, all through camp. He got a chance to play in preseason games, kept showing up. And, you know, it's a meritocracy. It's based on what you do. And he's certainly done a great job for us. There's no question his skill set fits into our scheme. Rod Marinelli and Leon Lett do a fantastic job developing players, regardless of where they come from. He's embraced the environment. He's done a hell of a job for us.
Just hearing his story, it sounds like that fight was actually a key moment. Are there any positives you can draw from a fight in training camp with Travis Frederick? I mean,
I don't know about that. I just think his nature, you know, what he's done each and every day has been the pivotal factor for him. Shows up every day, shows up every play. And he's a good football player. It's not just how he plays, it's the productivity that he plays with. I mean, he shows up in the games, he makes plays, and he's just done a great job for us.
What has impressed you about Sean McVay's coaching style and what he's been able to do with the Rams offense since his hiring in 2017?
Oh, Sean's done a fantastic job there. You know, we competed against him when he was the coordinator in Washington and did a really good job there as well. And he's just a fantastic coach. And they have a lot of weapons there. He knows how to use them well. They're balanced. They continue to attack. They challenge you a lot of different ways. And he's just done a great job creating a really good environment for their players to succeed. They play well week in and week out. They haven't won 13 games by accident. They've done a great job.
What stands out most to you about your time working with Wade Phillips?
Oh, I learned so much from Wade. Wade is such a great person and he's such a great coach and had been coaching for a long, long time. So for me, it was as much as I could just to be quiet and listen and watch and see how he handles so many different situations, very specific football situations. Try to get knowledge from him there, but also just how you handle a team and how you interact with coaches, how you interact with players, the environment you're trying to create. So, you know, my time with him was incredibly valuable and I have the utmost respect for him.
What did you take away from last year's game with the Rams?
It was a hard-fought battle, and they did what they needed to do to win the game, and we did not. Great respect for their team. They're really good in all three phases. That was a long time ago, though. We're a different team. They're a different team, and we're really focused on this week and this game on Saturday, but more importantly, just our preparation today.
When you guys were 3-5, how much did you lean on Jerry, or did he lean on you just to get through those tough times?
Oh, I think we try to create an environment for everybody where we're all supporting each other through good times and bad times. You know, that's ownership, that's people in our personnel department, that's coaches, and that's players. And you know, there are challenges you're going to confront each and every day in this league. It's a competitive league, and you're going to have some success, you're going to have some adversity. And you have to focus on what you need to do to keep going and keep trying to get better, whatever your role is, whatever your job is. And it's always best when you do that together. I think you're always more able to handle really the ups and the downs much better if you're doing it in a team concept and everybody has each other's backs. That's certainly something we try to instill in our team.
We ask you about Wentz all the time because he's in the division, but Jared Goff was also part of that draft class, and just
Obviously, y'all were at the top of that draft. What do you remember about those evaluations?
Yeah, just a really, really good football player. One of those guys that I think everybody felt would transition well into the NFL because of his skill set. Just a really natural passer. I think you saw him a lot in college deliver the ball under duress very accurately. And that was the huge takeaway for him. That was line one. They threw the ball a lot. There were a lot of RPOs. It just seemed like there were a lot of guys around him. And, maybe the distinguishing trait for NFL quarterbacks is that ability. When you have somebody right here, can you stand in and deliver the ball and deliver it accurately? The best ones who've ever played are able to do that. And you saw a lot of evidence of that on tape when he was coming out of school. So we got to know him. He came to our building and went out and worked him out. He's really a great young man from a great family, and he's doing an outstanding job there.
What memories do you have of that workout with him out there?
That was great. We had a really good dinner with him out there the night before, and then we went to Cal Berkeley and worked on their kind of their practice field there. It was a beautiful setting, a beautiful day, and he did a great job. Not a surprise to anybody who was drafted as high as he was. A really good college player, and I think everybody felt he was going to be a really good pro.
What do you try and simulate when you guys are working those guys out like that? What do you, situations or just on the field, want to see throws? What do you do when you're out there?
Oh, I think there's a lot of things you do in a workout. I think basically you want to see the quarterback throw all the different throws that you would ask him to make. You want to see him move, do the different drops, do the different movements that you would use. Try to challenge him different ways physically. Maybe it's a pass rush type thing where you see him move and throw the ball under duress. Those workouts are fun. You're getting to know somebody. You're getting to find out what he's all about. Does he love ball? Does he have a competitive spirit to him? How does he handle the success and the adversity, within that workout environment? So you're just trying to get to know him as a person, get to know him as a player.
How much time did you spend with him, just talking with him away from that workout and just in general, kind of, you don't talk all football all that time? So.
Yeah, I can't remember. We had him here. We had a great visit with him here. We had dinner with him the night before, spent time with him, obviously that day when we worked him out. So, over the course of that draft process, you try to get to know all these guys, and certainly was a fun experience for us to get to know him.
Beyond Goff, what's the challenge of slowing or disrupting the Rams' passing game?
Well, they're just a really good team. They're a really good offensive team. Their offensive line plays really well. They play well together. They're a very balanced team. They run the ball well. Gurley's an outstanding back. Anderson's been playing. He's an outstanding back. So they place a high premium on running the ball effectively, and then they just do so much off of that. Their naked game, their movement game, their play action stuff. They got big-time receivers. The tight ends can run and catch. Very good route runners. So they're just, every time the ball snapped, they challenge us so many different ways.
Go ahead. This is Dak's first trip, or not the first trip, but Dak made his Cowboys debut live action at the Coliseum as a rookie. Did you see this coming? What did you learn about him in that game?
I remember he played really well in that game.
Can you protract that he would move on and do what he's done?
Yeah, kind of the world we live in here, the culture we try to create is you focus on what the opportunity is right in front of you. And so, for him at that point, it was a very impressive debut. He got a chance to play, like you said, first time live competition in an NFL game, and he handled it really well. He had handled everything really well up to that point, from rookie minicamp to OTAs to the early part of training camp. And, he continues to do that. And you try to learn from your experience as you continue to grow. We don't really make those predictions and those projections based on stuff like that. Let's focus on what this is, what this game is. My memory is he handled it really well. He learned from the experience and kept moving forward.
Jason, Todd Gurley will have been off for the better part of a month and coming back. And in your experience, can you simulate game action in practice? Would you expect any rust with a guy like that coming off a month?
He's a great player. Ever since he's been in this league, he's been a really, really good player and has had such a positive impact on their team. So hard for me to make any comment on that. I know that we're expecting the best Todd Gurley that we can see.
Can you expand a little bit more on Gurley and Zeke, similarities and so forth?
George, I hate to compare players. They're both very impactful guys. There's no question about that. And they're both complete players. And they both play with a great energy and a competitive spirit that certainly helps their teams.
In your experience, does play calling be more conservative in January in playoff games, or is it just the defenses are that much better?
Hard for me to make a response to that generally. That's probably best left up to you guys. We're going to focus on what we need to do to play our best football on both sides this week, though.
How satisfying you guys have been with the patience you all had to have with Jalen and Randy both to see those kind of pay dividends, that patience?
Well, we felt really good about drafting those guys. There's no question that there was risk involved, but we really felt like they were good people. And we felt like they were going to do everything they could to maximize their opportunity. We felt like we could help provide a good structure around them. But ultimately, where those guys have come from and where they are now has everything to do with them and what they've been able to do, the drive and the determination they've had to have great careers and be impactful players in our organization. So both kind of have different stories, but I think that's the underlying theme. And, they're still a work in progress. They'd be the first to tell you that, but they've certainly done an excellent job up to this point.
How would you describe Tavon, just his approach the last couple of months with the injury and what he's given you since he's been back?
Tavon's worked really hard to come back from that injury, and he's practiced the last few weeks to get himself to a point where he could be game ready. Made some big plays in the game the other day. Obviously had the 80-yard punt return that was called back, but then he had another one that was 50-plus yards and did a good job just in general handling those punts and making positive plays for us, and had an impact as well on offense. So he's a really good football player, and again, he's worked hard to get back to this position, and he's helped our team. There's no question about that.
Aaron Donald leads the league in sacks. What challenges does he present, as well as Sue and the Rams' defensive front?
Yeah, just great players. They got really, really good players all across their defensive front. Wade does such a great job providing an opportunity for those guys to come get the quarterback, and that's what they do. You mentioned Aaron Donald. I think he had 20 sacks. Every game you put on, he's showing up, he's in the backfield, he's around the ball, he's disrupting what the offense is trying to do. And obviously Sue has been one of the best players at his position throughout his career. They got other guys up front. Brockers is a hell of a player, so they just got a lot of guys up there, and they challenge every time that ball is snapped.
Do you remember the 2014 Senior Bowl when it was Donald versus Zach? Did any of that stuff kind of stand out when you were looking at Zach, looking at Donald, maybe even thinking what you're going to do?
Well, easy to say now, but I think anybody who had a chance to watch those guys throughout that process thought they were going to be great football players. They were great players in college, difference-making players who jumped off the tape, and then they love ball. They're competitive. You just felt like they were completely into it, and that's a great recipe for having some success. And the memory is they were competitive all throughout that process, and it was fun to watch those guys compete. And we spent a lot of time on each of them. Great respect for Aaron Donald. Really happy that we have Zach Martin on our football team. He's been a great player for us.
We saw the importance of the kicking game with the Seattle game, with them losing their kicker. Where is your confidence level with your kicking game?
Confidence level's high. Really think Chris Jones is an outstanding punter, and Brett Myers made so many big kicks for us all year long, and our long snapper LP does a fantastic job. So obviously it's critical in any game, certainly in these kinds of games. Feel really good about those guys.
Back to Dak in the preseason game in 2016, when he walks into that huddle, he's a fourth-round pick, still learning his way, future Hall of Fame tight end, 3 All-Pro linemen, Dez is in there too. Did how he handled that tell you anything about him?
Well, I just think it fit with how he's handled everything since he's been here, and he's just got such a great way about him, with people, with his teammates, with his coaches, and he's as natural a leader as I've ever been around. He's one of those guys who connects with everybody. He's trying to lead, but he also is strong and gives them direction. And he just has a great balance in that regard, and that's why guys play for him. That's why guys love to play with him. That's why guys love to be around him. Just got a contagious way about him. As hard a worker as we have in our organization, so that gives him so much credibility. And like I said, whatever the situation is, rookie minicamp, first opportunity, playing in a preseason game against the Rams with all those players you mentioned, or on into the regular season that year or any year. He just handles the success and the adversity of this game really, really well as anybody I've been around.
You don't pigeonhole guys. That's one thing you've never done. It's, like you say, it's a meritocracy. But at that point when you're watching him, you have Romo. Are you looking at these things going, wow, this is something down the road we're really going to be able to use? Or how do you process that when you're looking at it in that
Yeah, all due respect, that's a long time ago, and we're kind of locked in on our Wednesday practice, getting ready for our game this weekend. So, maybe after the season, we can have a few lemonades and we can talk about that whole thought process. But we're kind of locked in on this 11:15 practice.
Jason, can you give us an update on some of the guys that got dinged up and dealing with injuries, like Xavier, Cole?
Yeah, Xavier Suofilo probably will not practice today. He's getting better. Cole Beasley probably will not practice today. We feel like he's getting better. Blake Jarwin probably won't do much in practice today. We feel like he's getting better. We keep going. Tavon will probably practice maybe in a limited fashion today.
Zach and Tyron,
Expect both those guys to practice.
full or see how it goes?
We'll see how it goes, but they're doing well. We're lucky to have them.
Thank you.
You guys good? Good to see you.
Thank you, Coach.